Hello, I hope you're doing well. In this session, we're going to take the prototype we designed together to the implementation stage. So we need to install WordPress from scratch, install the plugins and themes we need, and start designing. In the first step, we go to our host and file manager, where we need to download WordPress. We click on Download WordPress and go to the WordPress site to download it. We always make sure to download the latest version, and as I mentioned before, we don't download from the Persian site. So let's go here and create a folder for our project. I'll create a folder named HTML, if it doesn't already exist, which it doesn't. Now I enter the HTML folder. I upload the WordPress file there. Guys, our file has been uploaded. Let's extract it. There's something we always do after setting up WordPress, and we've practiced it together several times. I don't want this file, so I'll delete it. I delete it, go into the WordPress folder, select everything, and move it to a higher level folder where I want it. Okay, let's go to the address. We type HTML plus HTML. And let's proceed with the installation. Let's set the language to Persian and move to the next step. So we need to create the database now. Let's go into MySQL. Okay, here we open MySQL, write the name of the database and create our project. Database. Then we need to create our user as well. We create our user, define the password, copy the password, and we've created our user and set our password. After this, to the next step, we need to assign and connect our user carefully to the database. Here, I go to the project and select the table and I link them together. Okay, we set a database name and our user, leave it on localhost and change this as well. It goes to check the database and says, oh, it's okay, let's move to the next step. We write the site title as Digital Marketing Agency and create our username. We also create a password just like this, which you shouldn't do. I mentioned that you should choose a good password, but for testing we set a simple password. We set this to info@signhdmarketing.org and tell it not to index the film for us. Okay, let's go. So, WordPress does its job for us and we proceed to log into our admin panel. We don't hit our target yet. Okay, we're in. Guys, the first step requires us to install the themes and plugins that are necessary. We need a theme called Hello Elementor, which we will install. We need to say in the add section in WordPress's own repository to install Hello Elementor. We installed Hello Elementor. Now let's move on to the plugins we have in mind. Guys, we are a multilingual site, right? So we need to install the Polylang plugin and configure it as we want. We search for Polylang, or we'll say if we are going to use Elementor, we need to install these plugins, so we go ahead and install these plugins. Alright, let's proceed to activate our multilingual setup. I say, choose the languages. I want the main language to be Persian. So I select Persian. I choose Persian for Iran. And I want another language which is English. So I choose that too. This becomes my English language. All right, let's move to the next step. Do you want, 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 do you want? Oh, it says which content exists. At what time should I even say all the content if it exists? Because for us, or it reaches word itself N0, and it has nothing, or they are in Persian. We are ready to start. We are going back, guys, to the dashboard, and then again to the plugin section. We activate the plugin that was for Lang and Elementor, which is paid. And then we move on to our next plugin, which is the Elementor plugin. We also install the Elementor plugin. If we want Elementor Pro, we will also may install Elementor Pro. So for now, we proceed with just Elementor. If we need something more advanced, we will also install Elementor Pro. Well, that's it for Elementor. For now, we have the plugins we needed. Now, regarding complete security and other security measures, we definitely need to install them. But since we are not finalizing the project here, we don't need them. But you definitely need to install those default plugins that we need, like complete security or something like hide login. Well, there are a few settings I definitely need to configure on Elementor itself, such as disabling the default font and default color. And then I will proceed to create a page for the home page. Guys, what's the next thing we need? It's that I need to install the Iran Sans X font. I will create my main page and publish it. There's one more thing we need to do in the settings, guys. The permalink needs to be set so we can add an address and for Elementor to work, guys, the permalink must be set to post name. There are certain things that need to be in place to ensure the syntax is created. All right, I'll do this. The next thing I need, guys, is WooCommerce. The next plugin I need is the WooCommerce plugin, and I'll install the WooCommerce plugin as well. It installs WooCommerce itself. Since we need it, we also need to install Persian WooCommerce. It installs Persian WooCommerce as well. Alright, here we also install Persian WooCommerce, which is related to the Persian localization of WooCommerce, so that dates and data are set for us. We won't deal with WooCommerce settings and can leave it with its default settings. Alright, this is also done, guys. We've created our page and set the view. Let's update it once more so that our link is set. We'll refresh it once. And we can also change our address. Since our site is bilingual, we'll write the Persian as Safha Asli and the English as homepage. Down here, we can also choose the language. What is the language? It's Persian for now. The next thing I need to do, guys, is to assign the main page I created as the home page so that it shows up when I open the page. Okay, so I can go here into the general settings or do it in the customization profile. I go into the customization settings, set the home page and the post page on the main page and save it. So if I open it, the main page should be displayed. We go into edit with Elementor. Here is the main page that I created. Let's close the extra items. We also remove the plugins that we don't want. Now we come here, guys, and we can set this on the Elementor canvas or whichever one we prefer. Let's go back to the same topic, guys. We have a header and a footer that need to be created with Elementor, specifically with Elementor Pro. And when I don't have Elementor Pro, I can't create the header and footer in a general way. So for this reason, we need to install Elementor Pro. Yeah? Let's go to Add and Load. We select Elementor Pro and proceed to install it. The Elementor Pro has also been installed for me. Now we need to go and create our header and footer. But before that, guys, we need to add the Iran Sans font we want to our website. How do we do that? I need to go, guys, into the file manager, meaning where our site is installed. Right? And go into my theme folder, which is WP content. The theme Hello Elementor, which is the name of my theme. Now I have an assets folder that contains images and such. I want to create a new folder named fonts and add the font I have in mind here. So I go back here to the Iran Sans X folder where I can compress the font I want and move it into this assets folder and upload it. Okay, it's uploaded here as well. I will extract it now. Guys, I need the style I have here to be read within my styles. I have a style file that defines my font for me, and I need to add this style into the template codes as well. Guys, let's create a small function here. In WordPress, we need to carefully place the style we have in mind in our project. We go to the root file of our template, open the Hello Elementor function, scroll down and add a new line. I'll provide you with a piece of code that you can place there. I want to add a small function and say, hey, I have one. I have a function that I want you to add and enqueue to the WPH file on my site. I want to include the Iran Sans X font. I set the title of this function and it asks, where should I go? It says get the theme directory info, meaning it gives me the address of my theme. Where had I uploaded this? Look up here, WP content theme, Hello Elementor, assets, font. I copy this and I can come into my function and say, now, after this, go into the assets, font folder, and unqueue the style of the file I have here in assets, font, to the theme for me. Well, I can easily add the font I have in mind. Guys, there are also some plugins available for adding fonts, and we can use those too. But using the function and enqueuing the style is a more logical approach. Now I was able to add my font. Now I want to go, guys, now that I've installed Elementor Pro, I want to go and create my header and footer in a general way. I come to the template section. Guys, if you see, everything in my Elementor and templates is in English. I can install a plugin and turn the entire software and Elementor settings into Persian. I can come and write Elementor Farsi. I can actually write in Farsi, Elementor Farsi. And it searches for me in the divider and finds Elementor Farsi. As soon as it does this, it translates all the settings and related items with Elementor into Farsi for me. And it also adds a font that we can use. If you see, Elementor has made everything Farsi. I can come and click on themes and on the post builder. On the right side, it has brought up a series of items for me saying, "Sir, the header is written." And these items. I can click on the header and press Add New. It has a series of pre-made templates and blocks that we don't need, or you can import them. Now guys, I want to build my header step by step. I say I want a container that should be styled like this. You see on my right side, step by step, I want to place my logo in the middle, then the menu, and finally the call to actions. What I can do here is drop an image. And it also brings up a tool for me as a logo. Okay, I want to upload my logo here now, guys. I can either save my file or export my design directly from Figma. At this point, export my logo for me to the same place where I had the images. I can also export my design from Figma like this. Now let's proceed to upload the logo. You see, where does it take me here? To the website settings it says, "Sir, you can select the site logo here." I say, "Okay." I go to select my logo and upload it. I choose my logo, upload it, and click on the option. It brings the logo for me, and I can also place it on the iPhone site. I update it. Well, it says, "Sir, I changed it." I say, "Go back to the settings." Here. Well, my logo is now brought here, and I can now go to its settings. It says, "Show full size," and I can now set it in the styles as a pixel or percentage, whatever size I need. I want to set it as pixels. I can say, for example, "Show me 160." or 150. I can choose its alignment and say align it to the right. Now, I can make this box smaller and center my overall alignment. Now the next step, guys. I need to place the menu. I drag the WordPress list and put it here. But before this is set, we need to save it. To save it, or to decide where we want to display a template, tell me a condition. I say, show it on the entire site, meaning display this header I want to create across the whole site. Okay guys, once I've set this, I need to go and create my menus. So I go into the lists. I need to create these menus: home, website design, courses, blog, and contact me. I write the main menu in Persian and call it the Persian header. As for the location, since we are using Elementor Pro, it might not be necessary to set a location because we will call it there. I come to the pages and say, okay, I have the home page. I want to have a website design page for now. As placeholder text, I write this and add website design. Next will be courses. I create the courses page. Then comes blog and contact us. I say blog and contact us. This becomes my menu. I save it very carefully and go back to my Elementor. I refresh once so it reads my menu. Well, now it read my menu but said, sir, I saw the main menu I can choose in the horizontal band where it should be displayed. I say pointer nothing. Now it needs to read the settings I need. Now I set the color to black. Whether it should be in a gradient mode or hover mode. What shape it should be when active. What shape it should be. For the hover state, we wanted it to be a certain color. We wanted it to be blue. So we select our blue color. I place my blue color here and it reads it, guys. Now I want to display it globally, meaning wherever I want to select it, I say choose this as the blue color for me and save it within Elementor itself. I say when it hovers and when it is selected, this is its color. But guys, there's an issue. I set the typography to normal mode, but it's not reading my font. Why? I go back to the main page and see that it's not reading my font, even though I have added my font, right? I added Iran Sans X in the files. But guys, I added it, but I didn't specify where Iran Sans X should be displayed. So we need to apply a style. We had previously learned that in the themes customization, I have the option to add CSS. Guys, I can also add my CSS here in my customization. If the CSS items I need to add are only 4 or 5 lines of code, I can put them in this section. If there are more items, we can use another plugin to help. I can go to the plugins and add a new one. We can use simple.js, Tuffon, and CSS, meaning we can search for a custom JS in the section and it will introduce us to a plugin called simple.js, and CSS, simple custom CSS. And JS, I mentioned this so that any code I want to add can easily be placed on the website. On the right side, it brings us Add Custom CSS, or TITS. We click on it, guys, and here we write what? We write style. Now, to define our font, I say, sir, what font family should you give to my body? Iran Sans X, which is what we are defining here. I save this. And there's another setting we need to do, guys. It gives me a series of options and asks, sir, how should your style file be? Should it be internal within your code or an external file? We say external file. It then asks me to choose whether it should be in your header or footer. I say in the header, so it becomes external. And if it's a style, it should be in the header. If it's a script, it should be placed in the footer, and then again. Okay guys, we put our first and last name as Mim. Now let's refresh our site once, and our font is now loaded, exactly the font we had in mind. Alright, let's move on to the next part. Guys, we want a call to action. I can come here and select this container of mine to decide how it should be displayed. I say, sir, arrange its rows for me horizontally. Display it. In the first step, I need to do what? I need to put a call to action, so I place a button here. Now I can write for it what it needs. Its items are request consultation. I write request consultation. Now I adjust the font and its details. I write on the link one, and if I want something specific for it, I write it. I go to the style section and set its font to default. But guys, if I update this Elementor once, it should be able to display my fonts, meaning it should generally be able to bring my fonts that I have set. So I save it once and say to bring the fonts for me as well. Okay, now my fonts have been brought to us because I had requested them. I go to the style section and the color. What color is it? My body color is blue and the font is white. I can choose that. Now how big should it be? I'll set it to 15 pixels, right? If I want to add any specific padding, I can do that. But for now, I'll set everything to 0. Now, what's the next item, guys? I want a purchase button. Once I can install WooCommerce, it gives me a series of new elements. That means I should go into the WooCommerce elements and search through them. I need to find the purchase button. And I can place my purchase button here. Now, let's see what it shows me. It says, sir, there's a purchase button, but it's displaying a lot to me. However, I want to display just the purchase button, meaning the purchase list. You see, it's bringing it up here for me saying, "Sir, you have an icon." I can swap this with that, or I can even move it now. I can select this. I tell it, "Sir, don't show me the total, it's the shopping cart." Now here, there's another icon. It asks, "Which icon do you want me to display?" Actually, the way I have it is that it's a shopping cart, just like the first one. Well, that's it. And it even has some options, asking how it should be displayed. Should it have a close button or not? Should I display the price and quantity for you or not? Each of these items, depending on our needs, it asks, "Sir, should the shopping literacy be displayed or not? Should it have a checkout option or not?" And it has some additional options, like whether it should have automatic updates, for example, how the shopping literacy should be displayed, whether it should have a close icon or not, whether it should have its own separator or not. Each of these things that you can choose. It also mentions items where it says, "I don't need to display the quantity for me." Now it comes to the styles. It asks, "Sir, what color do you want it to be?" It says, "I want the icon color to be blue." I have now selected it. For example, a color is specified. Now it has a border and a series of items that we should be able to remove. It asks, "Do you want a background color?" Serious and what about the border color? How thick should the border be? You can choose these. I set it to simple. I can even adjust the radius of the box and the size of the icon based on my needs. This amount is okay for me. It asks, "How should your purchase knowledge be?" Doreen. It has a series of settings on how to display the products and what the buttons should look like. For all the options it provides a setting for me. Now, I want the team to come and align these with some negative margins. And some of these elements together. I can use this. I can start from here and proceed with my display type. Set my alignment to center, meaning everything should be aligned together. Like here, exactly, the team can do the same thing. I say, if it shows me the center alignment, here it's exactly the same. I need to hit my center, the center of this. The next item here, I can also choose how to align it. Now, you can see this came into alignment with this. I can give it a little margin from the left. I can give it a negative or positive margin. I can move it from the right to the right and reduce it from the left. These are the settings I need. Now I need to save this and go see what's happening. I've saved it. My menu is displayed and showing for me. Now I need to do another thing. Tell it to align from the right for me. This means we can choose from which side it should be, whether from the end or centered. Now I have this option to tell it to align from the right for me and display all these containers that you created in this way. Now I will save this and come back here again. Now the next point, guys, we have a line under our header and we want to remove these lines. We want to do this with CSS, guys. I want to give a class to the element that has been created and put a line under the specific item I'm considering. Now, what do I need, guys? I need to give an ID to this entire container. I want a custom ID. I assign this header to it. Place it and then refresh it again. You see, it gives me a custom header. Now, when I come to this class that exists, I can click on this container and set this header. Before that, I say, "Hey, border bottom, 1px solid." For example, display it with a color. Now, if I want, I can reduce my padding or adjust other things I need. I want to save this now, so I click on my style, go to my custom style, and place it there. Is that correct, guys? Okay, up to this point, I managed to set my header with what I had in mind. Now, what do we move on to next? We move on to the rest of my styles. For now, I'm going to take my Elementor editor and On the main page that I have, I refresh this once. Well, you see, for me, Elementor has changed the header and set it up for me. I can come here for you and change the layout based on the items I have in mind. Adjust my page layout so that the title goes up. When I set it to Compact Elementor or Boom Elementor, it takes everything for me. Let's say this again. When we set it to Boom Elementor layout, it completely removes the header and footer that we created. If we set it to full width Elementor, what happens is it switches to another template for me. But my header and footer still exist. So we set it to full width Elementor. Here, save this and move on to creating our next element, which is our slideshow or banner, so to speak. I need to define a single section. Now, I can give it a bit of margin from the top to create some space. Sometimes it creates space for me at the top, which is correct. I don't want my element to be full width, guys. I need to keep this in mind. I want my element to be boxed, and I want to apply it to this container that I have here. And if I define that, now I define a box. I come to the style and say, okay, I want to place an image on the classic display. I select my image here. Now let's choose the photo we had and upload it. Guys, one of the things I can do is define these sizes. I say center center, repeat, I say no repeat, and set the display type to cover. One of the things I can do is define a height. For example, we have a height of 700. Or I can choose not to do this. Guys, let's place our elements now. I want to add a title. I'll add another title. I'll just duplicate these without giving them a style, and a button. Actually, we took the button from the header menu over there, so we'll recreate it. I say, okay, I have these now, right? I can add padding to it, saying, okay, take 250 from the top and 250 from the bottom. Now, that's a lot, so I can say, okay, take 200 from the bottom. From the top, it's 20 as well. Now, let me define what I need. I wanted something before, meaning besides this background, I also need a background overlay. I specify the color, saying the default color is blue. I can adjust its transparency based on my needs, either increasing or decreasing it. Now let's go back to the title. What do we want to write here? Digital marketing agency. We'll put this element. How much was our center font weight, guys? We have to put 50 pixels. I want to put 50 pixels. I want to put the color brush. I want to put white. Now I want to put bold font weight. I want to set the font weight to extra or black now. I say, sir, we are a digital marketing agency. The next text is the slogan we have. Well, what font size did we set it to? We set the font size to 25. We go back here, typography 25, and we set the color to white. This is our color. Now we can set our font weight to light, okay? So it becomes exactly similar to the current style. The next one is Doshmand. We center it, and it becomes very similar to the request. Now, what color was it? It was orange, so we need the second color. We defined it as a variable. Let's copy its code and say, sir, I also want the color to be what? I want it to be this yellow or this orange, and we define this as a global variable. We say we have defined this too. What color was the text inside? Black, so I want the inside color for me to be black. I wrote my request incorrectly. There's no way to add it. Similar to a Redux request, it doesn't have one either. I'll also set this for the save button to see what happens to it. This became my first slide, but I don't want it to display in full width. I want it to display in a boxed format. Here, in the container settings, I chose the boxed option. Now, whether full width or boxed, something happened. Let me open my browser. I defined a container and went through a series of steps. I can come here and adjust what I have in mind, Mr. Zar, and I can even reduce the width. I have, or even set it to full width. I can define this based on my needs, determining what should happen to it. We can even define the spacing around it. All right, let's save it and proceed to capture our output from it. This became our first style. Let's move on to the next styles, guys. What will our next styles be? It will be about us. All right, we go back to Elementor, create a double container, and add some spacing from the top. We say, sir, give it some space. And then we say, sir, give it 50 units of space. Here we place our title. We place our heading. What do we write? We write about the agency. About the agency. All right, guys, we need the color of agency to be different. We can define a general style that says whenever you see B in the style, change its color to the one we have in mind. Here we type agency and go to the styles. We set it to 39, which is our color. This is the size we defined. We come to our next text and put it in the text editor. We say this will also be about us. We also say we will fix its style, make it justified, and set the typography to 25. We reduce it a bit, guys. We need to consider that the font we are using here might be slightly different from the font we are using on the web. So, we can revise the sizes once based on our needs. Because 25 is a very large number for these texts here. Therefore, I can define some other adjustments as well. I can define a series of other styles for it. We set our line height to 1.8, right? Okay. We place the image we have in mind, which is about us. We upload it and say, sir, place this image for our About Us section. Which one was our image? It wasn't this one. It was this one. We can upload our image. Here among us kids, we can now center our alignment here and say, sir, the elements we have should be center aligned. I mean, not here. In reality, but we don't want it to have a gap, so we set it to align center. We can give it some margin. From the sides, for example, we can say, sir, let's set this out left padding to 50 pixels to make it a bit more compact for this. According to the design, that's correct. Our title is black and two-toned. Let's refresh it again here in our design. Well, this is the About Us section that we created. Now we can apply color to this style. I want to say, sir, whenever you're in Elementor, heading title means this class that is written for all my titles. I mean, let's say, sir, we want to apply a yellow color that we defined. We go and take our color code and apply it. You see, here it becomes the title that I have. This title turns yellow again for me, whatever I want to use. I come back here, and if I don't want this, I can save it after this. Guys, I think we should make the titles a bit smaller so they can look better. We can set it to H3, set it to 32. We come back here. So, what's our next part, guys? Our next part is the clients we have. Okay? We go back to our Elementor and place another section at home like this. So I need a title I copy this one and paste it here. Now I center it, and what does it become? It becomes clients. I also need an image below it to represent the clients. So I either upload the clients or this becomes my clients. Now I need to set the complete and full size and define a pixel style for it. I said if I set all of these to pixels, I say display it at exactly 500 pixels based on the size I have in mind. I can also give it some additional spacing from the top. Let's make it precisely stricter and see. These are the clients that I have in mind. Now I can make all the logos bigger or smaller, or even increase their number. What about the next sections, guys? It will be our services. Okay, let's create a new container. We say, sir, display it horizontally for me and take a 50 pixel distance from the top. Okay, the standard spacing that we define. Okay, let's move on to the color. That means we place it, define its color and say, sir, make our color go into a blue theme. Now we can lighten it. And we say, sir, display this for me in a lighter shade. Now I need to come and introduce my services here. I can copy a title, guys, and drop it into this section. Let's move on to the base of the services. Service offerings. Now I want to give it a padding of 50 from the top and 50 from the bottom. So I say 50 from the top and 50 from the bottom. Now I want to add a new container and say, sir, my container can again be another container if it allows me to nest it. I say, sir, I want my container to be a parent container and I want it to be horizontal. I can copy and paste this set, or I can even duplicate it like this. Now, I can come and style these. The first step, what do I need? I need to select my post item. Okay. I upload its image, and this becomes part of my site design. Now I handle the related items, set it to no repeat, and set the display size to cover. Now I can define the height for the elements. Say, make my height 250. If I want to select more items, I can specify how much I want. I also say it's okay for the upper layer. I need to put a background cover. I set a blue color. I can define the transparency of this blue color is for. Now I need a header for the elements where I write what? I write website design. I define website design. And now I say this is centered. I can say the color is white. And I can set it to 32 or 29. I set the font weight to black. I want to say, sir, in this container, display my content and menu from the bottom, meaning it should be from the end, so that all the traces are displayed at the bottom. Well, I can also slightly reduce the font weight again, guys. What's the next item? More information. I can define another editor or even another title under it, named More Information. Now I can even define a link for it. I say, sir, read it as a paragraph for me, and its color is also the color. I choose orange. I can adjust its size based on my needs. Now I go here and set the margin. I can give it a negative margin so that it moves up from the design of my site. And from the bottom, I create some space. Now guys, I need to duplicate these again. I take 2 duplicates and remove the extras. Okay. Here it becomes digital marketing. And here it becomes SEO. Now I need to change the images. I come here and select a new image so that it can be both online advertising and this. But maybe I'll write online advertising. I write online advertising, and this one is SEO. I write SEO. Let's change the axis a bit. I say, my dear sir, re-upload my image and let's focus on SEO. So guys, what about this? Let's go back to my design and see how it turned out. So guys, this is my services section according to the tree I built, and I can send the links I have in mind to the page I want. Now, the next part, guys, is the news magazine. I need to first create a blog to post my news and display it there. So where do I go? I go to the posts. I can start editing the first one right away, repeating my first news. This becomes news number 1. I set the title, and this becomes the post. I add an image for it, categorize it, and we don't need a video for it. I have reached the stage in the process where I am prompted to upload an image. This image will serve as the visual representation for my blog post. I carefully select an appropriate image that aligns with the content and theme of my blog. Once I have chosen the image, I proceed to upload it, ensuring that it meets the necessary specifications. After the upload is complete, I update the blog post to include this new image, enhancing the overall presentation and appeal of the content. Guys, now I need to create 4 of these news items. Well, one way is to open and create them one by one. And there's another way too. Guys, I can add an option to copy them consecutively. For this, we need a plugin. I go to our plugins and click on Add. Oh, what do we search for? Duplicate. I will install this post duplicator, which is written in Persian, and it gives me this option. I'll take Well, I activate it. And when it's activated, I go to the posts. It means it will bring up the clone section for me. When I click on this clone, it copies one like this for me. Now, as a draft, I click clone again to make it 3, and I click one more to have 4 posts. Now, the titles and such don't matter much to me. I click on these 3. Say execute edit and decide what their status should be. It should be set to published. Now I go back, guys, to the Elementors. We do a publish and update them and refresh it once. Refresh it once again. Now we want to display our blog. We create a new container, vertically spaced 50 pixels from the top. We give it a 50 pixel top margin. And now we copy our title. And paste it here. What do we see? We have a news magazine. Now guys, a new option has been added to the new Elementor called Loop Grid. It gives me a series of very good options. I can add any post type I have in mind. I say, sir, I want you to read from the posts for me. Then I go and click on create a new template and say, okay. Let's go to this section. Here it says, "Sir, now you can put the items you want." I say, "Sir, in the first step, I want to display the post title." I want to bring up your post title. Do you want it to have a link? I say yes. I can say, "Sir, link it," but stop at the link I wrote, meaning it goes to the written page for me. For example, I can put it somewhere, and if I need it from someone, I can describe it as 29. Well, what about the title then? Now this thing is smaller too. I just set it to, for example, 20 pixels. But before that, I want two new things. I say, "Sir, I also want you to display the featured image for me and set the size to full." You see, set the size to full for me, or based on what I have in mind. Now here, I can come and define my video height. Say, "Sir," for example, set the video to 100% for me, or even display the height differently, whichever is intended. Now, here I say, "Sir, I will remove the height." Another way I can do it is to place a div and display the background on the div, but we will stick to this. The next thing that the guys need, I say, "Sir, I've placed my image and I want to see the information of my post." Let's see what the post information gives me. It says, "Sir," for example, I can provide the author, I can give the date, I can also give comments. It says, "I only want the date." I say, "Show me the date." It asks if you also want the link. I say no, and I also say don't put the icon. I can also style it to the hashpad, or change the color to black. Okay, now we can define the fonts. Smaller, meaning anyone displaying in English, we know what to do. It means we need to split this web page so it can convert our date to Persian. Now I come here to adjust the top and bottom margins. Then I go back to typography. I need to make this a bit bigger and bold so it displays bold for me. Its color is blue, but it's not very bold, so we can make it smaller. And remove the boldness, for example, set it to medium or regular. Okay, we choose the color blue. Now I need here to display the contents I wrote. It brings it up for me and I say, "Sir, display it justified." My color should be black, and I can now define the font size here, say 15 pixels. The next thing I can do is define a link. I can create one. Put a header down here, kids. Set its format, for example, say span. What should be written on the link? What should it be? Say more information. Now align it to the left. And set the color of my text to, it was orange. No, it was blue. Let's set it to blue. And fix our typography. Say 15 pixels. And now give it the margin we have in mind. Now, one of the things I can't do is add a container above this. Let's see if this method works, guys. Now, in the container, in the style section, let's say read the background dynamically for me, which is not possible and doesn't understand it. So if we want to change the size of our style, we can use an image, and the same thing happens to us again. So we can define the image based on the criteria it has. For example, I can say if I define my height as this much, but not my width, or we can resize the same image or use the sizes that it provides for us. We can use the prop taken, so the full size is okay, and we can later make it smaller with style. I mark it because if I save this, it shows me the number of whatever exists in a loop based on the style I wrote. If you scroll down until it loads, you will see it displayed 4 news items for me. Now I can say, okay, let my columns be 4 and the items also be 4. we see that it is displaying my style, but I need to add a box shadow to the whole thing, meaning I need to define a box shadow for the entire thing. I come back again and say, sir, I need to adjust this a bit because I have realized that it is not quite right. I say now I need to change the border shadow type. For example, make it 15 shades lighter. Okay. Here I can also do this and apply the boxed styles I have in mind. I don't have a border radius either. I go back to the previous page, save this class again, and hit save back to return to the previous page. Now it's reading it for me. I also need to do this other task and need to reduce the margin of my text from the top down. Now before I go, can I come and style the height, pagination, and other elements I have here? I can also reduce the spacing between the columns. Let's save this now. Then go and reduce the text spacing with our title. I'll go back into edit mode again. Here, I'll apply a negative margin upwards. Yes, I'm applying a negative margin upwards. I can also make the font a bit smaller. For example, set it to 13. There's more information available, and there's also a title. I can increase the margin again so that it sticks to the element above. Now I'll save it and go back to my site. It's saved here, updated here, and now it's reading the news I defined. What's the final step? It's my footer. I need to create my footer here as well. So I'll go back, guys, to again the template. Then let's just refresh it once to simply bring back the Persian. We go into the templates, post builder, and in the footer, I can now create a footer. Well, it has default elements again that we don't need. It says this is a container and we create 4 of them. We were 4, right? Well, I can make one part bigger and say, hey, let this element be 40 and each of these be 20 for me. This is 20, 20, and 20. Well, the color of the entire container is also the blue that I am setting, or set the menu color to blue. I can define padding or set it to 50 from the top and 50 from the bottom. Now in the first step, I need to place my logo here again. And I can also add an image. I can come and select our logo. Now, the logo we have is black. So let's use Photoshop to make this logo white. I'll go into the files. I say, where did I save this file? On my laptop. Here. I can take it into Photoshop and make my logo white. Okay, here I double click on it, go to color overlay, change it to white, and save it again. Guys, make sure to use Save for Web in Photoshop, meaning export the file with Save for Web. I say, sir, save it as PNG for me. Now here, instead of black, we write white. I go back here to upload. I say my dream now is this. I say the secret is the full size. Now I come and define it in pixels, or I say, for example, let it be 100 pixels, let it be 104 pixels, the next meter that the model doesn't hit the kids with. I put the meter in the editor, paste my meter, and then we go to its style. we say let's justify it, make it 15 pixels, and set the color to white. Okay, we can also give it a line height 1.8. Now the next thing is the titles that we are going to put in our footer. We go to the server and select what does it become? Quick access, quick access. Now we go into the styles and say, sir, make it 32, 29, or even we can adjust the size for the next 8s. Well, we can set its font to 700 to make it bold, and we set its color to white. Now here, guys, we need to read the menu again. We can drag the navigation list here again. Now instead of displaying it horizontally, we tell it to display vertically, and we say what? Let it be from the right side. Let it be normal. And now we can say here that if there is no breakpoint at all, meaning it won't be responsive, it will throw a hamburger menu. We can say if our active color is white, let's say our hover color is orange, and our active color is also orange. Now in typography, we say the size is 15 and our font fit is okay. And we can also increase or decrease our padding based on the need, guys. Now, another thing we need is to give our title some margin top so that it aligns with our logo. The same should happen with our text. I can copy and paste this here again, guys. For each of these, I will create a menu, but we are not focusing on the result now, just this menu. I name one of them services. This is what I call it, services. And the last option will be address. Again, I copy and paste this here. I also copy and paste the text here, placing the address, phone number, and email here. We have another section here. And since I also have a copyright item, now we need to define another section here. Define another container, and again give it the same blue background. We say, okay, now I need to put the copyright here. I change its text and write all rights. Material and spiritual of this website belong to Ash Team. Now I need to center this. Now we can reduce the bottom margin a bit and decrease its padding. For example, set it to 20 pixels so that this happens. The paragraph itself has a default margin, which we set to 0. And we also set its padding to 0 and place it here. Now I can give the entire text to a top border in the style or advanced settings, saying, sir, just show me a light white border at the top. I can make this a bit lighter. When I say to also make this a white border, I can now give this paragraph some padding, saying, sir, take some padding from the top for me. I can also give it a bit of negative margin to make it tighter from the bottom, making it look nicer and reach what I want. I set its condition, save the whole style. And we return to our page, guys. This way, we were able to create our footer, but there are a few points. I need to give my footer a 50 pixel margin so that it always maintains a distance from the element. Another thing I need to do is ensure that this text is not stuck to my title. I should give it a 50 pixel or 30 pixel distance. I go into advanced settings and say, sir, take a 30 pixel distance from the top. This also saves it. We wrap it up. And this is what we had in mind. Based on our design, we were able to create this. Stay with us, guys, because in the next session, we need to create the English page of our site.